she sat me down and held my hands, and she said, "Nurses like you makes life worth living." And that was, my ear hurt now.
Hi guys, so I have with me Faith. I've interacted with Faith just many times, and from some of our interactions I've been able to just sense her heart and passion for what she does. And so I invited her to, just share her thoughts with me and with you guys, so that we can see what her experiences have been and sort of just see what her journey has been. So when did you, I know you're getting ready to graduate, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Next month.
Yes,
How does that
surreal.
make you feel?
I feel really good. I feel accomplished. It's nice to know that I came to college knowing what I wanted to do, sticking through it, having God by my side, because I felt like I built my spiritual faith in God more, even being in nursing school. Like, I've gotten to know myself as a true Christian, because I tell my friends, I tell my family, like, I don't know how I would have literally gone through it without God. Like, I don't want to be that person who's like, oh, you only know God when you need something, but literally it was when I needed His grace, when I needed His guidance, was when I felt so much more attached to Him, and I got stronger in my faith than in my Christianity. And it's nice to know I came to college, getting done in 4 years and going straight to a career. Like, that, you don't see a lot of that in college students, and it's been all by the grace of God, definitely.
Oh, that's really good to hear. And when did you, like, for me, I enjoy sharing my story with people and just letting people see, how far I've come, because a lot of people look from a distance and it looks like, oh, she works at Cox Health, she has this real fancy role and blah, 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 blah. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of the things that I'm currently doing were, born out of a vision that God gave me as far back as 2007 that did not happen instantly. It was a process. I had my struggles. I had the years when I, practically just started a semester, and halfway through, I dropped out of all my classes, because I had personal issues. I had a whole lot of different things going on in my life. And so it's been a journey for me, and then finally coming to that point of knowing that I was, all the mistakes and all the wrong turns that I took, they were for a purpose. They were for me to come to this point where I can, just stay thankful. So how did you know what you wanted, what your purpose was? And because I've talked to you about being a nurse, and I've seen both, on a close interaction and just from staying on your social media and all that stuff, I see a lot of things that you post, and I can tell that there's a heart and commitment to what you're doing. And you don't strike me like you're just in nursing. I see a lot of people that are in nursing for the money, but you don't strike me like one of those people. And so how did you come to that decision to want to do nursing? And
Well, I decided, I found that passion, I wouldn't say that passion, but that calling my senior year in high school. So with my high school, you had the opportunity in your senior year where you can be in a technical college and get a certificate, and also graduate with that certificate your senior year of school. So I knew that I wanted to help people. I knew I wanted to work in the medical area my junior year, but I know I don't want to be a doctor, even though my dad would love me to be a doctor. I knew that wasn't for me, because I just feel like doctors don't have that one-on-one interaction with people. Like, when I picture a doctor, I just think of someone who's there for the money, literally, and they feel they're just so smart, and they just go in and tell people what they think is right and all that. So I talked to my high school counselor about like what are opportunities that are out there other than being a doctor, and then she showed me about she told me about the Herndon Career Center with their CNA program. So I'm like, okay, well, I see myself being a nurse because I love taking care of people. I love making sure people are comfortable. Like, I just like that. I have that compassion and that passion for caring for people. And I feel like that's something that's very important with nursing. So I enrolled myself for the CNA class my junior year. So I started my senior year doing my CNA program. And during our clinical, our first day of clinical, we went to a nursing home facility where I had, of course, different older adults, and that was how I also fell in love with older adults in my nursing home. But there was one day when I was asked to go into the patient had her car lights in, so she needed help. So I was about to walk in when some of my classmates and a few CNAs that were working in the facility were like, you don't want to go in there. Like, she is that person who you would hate that you went in there because she is rude and mean. Literally just trying to talk me out of going into her room. But I just ignored them. I'm like, if she has her car lights on, there's a reason. Like, she needs something, right? So I just ignored them and went to her room. And this was an older adult lady who was just the body shape of my grandma, short, petite, and in her 90s. And she told me, if you're not here to kill me, leave my room. I know. I know. So I'm like, well, you have your call lights on.
That's why they were warning you.
I know. I'm like, well, okay. I'm like, well, you have your call lights on. How about I help you out with what you want, and I can leave if you don't want me here anymore. She was like, okay, well, I need to use the bathroom. So I took her to the bathroom, was with her, and when she got done, she looked down in the toilet and was like, why is my urine so orange? I'm like, well, that's because you're dehydrated, so you don't have much fluid in you. And whereas I've also been told by the nurse assistants that this lady doesn't like eating her breakfast. She doesn't like eating at all. She doesn't like drinking water or like drinking fluids in general. So like I told her, well, and I was told that you don't like drinking fluids, you don't like drinking water, so that's why your urine is this dark. How about I get you something that you would like to drink when we get back in the bed? So we got done, cleaned her up and everything, got her back in the bed, and I sat down with her. I'm like, so if you can drink something right now, what do you like to drink? And she's like, well, I like milk, but they never give me milk. They give me water, and I don't like the taste of water. I don't like water. I'm like, all right, I'll go get you milk because that's fluids. That's something that can also help with the concentration of your urine and hopefully change the color. So I literally bought her 240 milliliter of carton of milk into her room. I was like, well, try to make sure you finish them up before my clinical rotation today. Can you promise me that? And she's like, yeah, I can. I'm like, and then I also asked her, would you like, if I put lemon in your water, would that taste a little bit better? Would that be better for you? She was like, yeah, I can try that. So I poured a jug of water and went to the kitchen to get her lemon and put it in. And I told her, you've got to promise me you're going to finish this before I leave. I leave here at 3 p.m. So you have to promise me you're going to finish it. And she did. So like about every 2 hours, I would go in there to check in on her. And she did. And that day as well, she agreed to take a sponge bath because this is someone who doesn't, if you're not there to kill her, she doesn't want you in her room. But then I realized that her being mean or being rude is not really who she was. This is just someone who needed someone to actually pay attention to her and also care about her needs. Yeah. So every time I had my clinical there, I would go, like she was most of my priority. Even though I had other clients, it was more like, okay, let me just go see how she's doing. For one day for her breakfast, I'm like, well, you don't eat much breakfast. What would you like to eat? She was like, well, they always bring me this soggy toast and this dry bacon. I want to eat them, but they're just nasty. So I would go into the cafeteria myself, into the kitchen, and have them prepare fresh. Right. So I would always make sure her food was fresh every time I was at clinical, encourage her to drink the fluid, get her cleaned up and everything. And the nurse assistant and nurse one day was like, how do you do it? How is it that she only eats and gets cleaned up and agree to drink all these fluids whenever you're clinical? And I was like, I just think she just needed someone who actually would listen to those, that they're not really demands, those are literally what she needs to stay alive and stay healthy. So if it doesn't take that much time to walk to the kitchen and order something that's more fresh and bring it back to her. And that was just what she needed. So it just something I kept going up every time I clinical with. And also I treated almost all the older adults that way as well. Until my last day of clinical, I went to go meet her to tell her it's my last day. It's been nice working with her and everything. And she sat me down and held my hands. And she said, nurses like you makes life worth living. And that was, my ear hurt now. And that was when I knew that nursing was for me. This is the lady said, nurses like you, I am trying to be a CNA. I'm not even going into not even in nursing school yet. And I went home like crying, like, oh my God, this is literally for me, it's not about the medication you give them, because anyone can know medications and give it to somebody. Yeah. It's about that caring part that has to do with caring for them, because these people are at such a vulnerable state of their life, especially for older adults. Yeah. And that's also how I fell in love with older adults. I just see them as like, they don't like being called babies. You're not supposed to call them babies, but they're literally just big babies who have raised their kids to this point, and they're going back to the beginning of it all. And they're in nursing homes where either their family members cannot take care of them, or they've lost their family members, so you have some of them who literally don't have anybody. And I don't know, it's like if I can be that change, if I can come in and make that little difference, to me that is what makes it makes it all worth it for me. And so yeah, I graduated high school with my CNA and knew I was going to college for nursing, and I had to be a nurse. I literally had no backup plan. It was more like, if you don't get into a nursing school, what are you going to do? I'm like, I guess I'll try again next year. Because like, I'm the person who people were like, oh, you're so good at like communicating. You can go into communication major. You can do broadcasting, journalism. I'm like, I want to do a career or job where I will go in every day and find that purpose and have that constant reminder of this is why you do what you do, or go to work and not feel like I'm just here to do a task. I'm here to use my talent. I'm here to use my gift. And to me, that's nursing. So it's been a beautiful journey. It's a hard journey because nursing school is not easy. Nursing school is not easy. But I know that I wouldn't have gotten this far if not for my passion. Because I always, when it comes to that difficult time after failing a test or being so overwhelmed with school and work, I always remind myself, is there something else you see yourself doing other than nursing? It's like, no. So I've got to deal with it. So it's my passion for caring. Like, you hear the typical, I want to be a nurse because I like caring for people. It's like, no, I want to be a nurse because I love seeing the outcome of the care that I give, of that interaction, that, I don't know. Wow. Yeah, that's why nursing.
Wow. Wow. I am so privileged to hear just the journey going, from just wanting to be a certified nursing assistant to deciding that you actually wanted to become a nurse. It's a real, personally listening to your story, I feel like, being by that woman at that moment was a humbling process for you even, because I don't work with patients directly, at least not anymore, but I've had times when, and you probably even remember this, when I did a lot of the patient surveys on the floor when I was more in the hospital, and before moving to Children's Miracle Network. But I had those times when I walked in and I really just wanted to know how the patient was being treated, and they would ask for things that their nurse will perhaps just not pay attention to, or whoever it is that's serving them or that's taking care of them. And oftentimes, actually even in Mercy, some of the nurses didn't really like me because a lot of the times when I went in those rooms and I did those surveys and I got the patients to tell me what their experiences were, and I had a problem area that I needed to address, a lot of the nurses didn't like that because they considered that was counted against them, and for me, it was really sad going in there and seeing that, for some of the nurses and for some of the doctors even, the patient is just that extra person. It's like I see 1 million and something patients every day, and I really don't need to have this. They call it, what's that term? Just detaching yourself, depersonalizing yourself from the patient. I think it's what a lot of the doctors and the nurses do, when really what makes the difference is the connection. And that's why it's important to have an emotional commitment to what we're doing. And so I feel really privileged to hear all that